kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
When we do our Anidorks immersive theater piece,
we're just learning for that. We're getting it all ready for that.
That the masks shouldn't be gold; they should be red.
Oh, I was going to go yellow for the piss goes with.
Also good. The piss goes. Piss masks. It's
piss
the
masks.
name of the show. The name
Urea
of the show
is great for your skin.
The name of the show is Piss Masks.
Piss masks.
It might not bring in the intended audience, but
it'll bring in the
if
one
we could somehow
want.
come up with an Animorphs experience where you feel like
You're being pissed off.
you're morphing just a little bit. Just
that would be cool.
no, I think we just need to have.
Oh my god. So the lights like dim and then we put like bear claws on it. It's like you have bear claws.
And then we have,
and
and then behind them is like a crazy shadow morphing, and it looks like it's their shadow, and it starts to morph.
Incredible.
And
We're
then
like pushing down on their back so that they go down.
Yeah, and then we come through and we're like, you crawl now. Crawl.
All right, are we doing it? Are we going in?
Yeah, what are we
We're in
what are we
Animorphs
doing?
mode? Well, we have 2 listener emails.
Ooh.
Yeah, we could do those. Hold on. Let me get my energy back. Hold on.
Hello, Anidorks.
Yeah. Oh, Eddie, go ahead. Do your best Chris impression.
Hello, Anidorks. I don't remember what you say after that.
It's okay. All right, cool. I thought after 3 years of doing the podcast, you
I'm
would
listening to
have a
every
better
single
Chris-
episode.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that you'd have a better Chris impression, but that's okay. You didn't mention the Mars Vault even once, so that's
right.
okay.
Yep. So we finished book 18.
We did.
And we are not, even though we did a preview for book 19, we are not doing book 19
Yes,
next.
we misspoke.
Eddie misspoke. I'll take the.
No,
I'll take
we
the
were
fall
all
for-
we all forgot. We're doing
Yeah.
MegaMorphs 2 in the Age of Dinosaurs. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we're doing. That's right, and then we're going to waste even more of your time with the Hork-Bashir Chronicles.
Although
and
there
then
are opinions that we should do Hork-Bashir Chronicles after 19, but
So wait, MegaMorphs, then 19, then Hork-Bashir Chronicles?
So here's the thing. Now, that
should
was
do a vote.
plan C. That was plan C. But then the thing is, since then, there's been plan D, which, Eddie, this is a really unpopular plan in our Discord. I don't feel like we should read Unabridged Les Mis in between MegaMorphs and Book 19. I just think that would take us too far away
singing
from the project.
Yeah, I would be okay with singing the musical, but I don't think we can do the
Maybe we can do that as
the
Patreon
19th
content?
century Paris subway.
Yeah, we could do that, and then we can pivot to Plan E. Is that where we're at now? Where you two come to my Animorphs immersive experience, where I will be doing
You make
all
us
the
morph?
parts. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
there will
You
be
turn on the
airlights
lights,
walking
appear in a
behind
different wig, and you're like,
trucks
I'm Rachel.
Anybody got a plan F? Miranda, you got a plan F? Hit us with plan F
plan
off the
F.
dome.
We do an Animorphs an Animorphs immersive experience where all 3 of us play parts,
Okay.
but none
okay.
of them are the Animorphs.
Okay.
It's only NPCs.
Yes,
A
Eileen.
day in the town of the Animorphs
Love this.
with no Animorphs.
And we do the
Eileen
song from the-
Chapman and who? Crazy Helen.
Maybe Eric the Chi.
Crazy
Eric
Helen,
the
Eric
Chi.
the Chi. And we do a Beauty and the Beast style intro song where we all sing about Belle.
Oh, I was thinking the intro, which is the
Not the intro. No, the one
Yeah.
the one where the whole town sings about
What do
one
they say?
person.
Hey girl, hey girl.
No.
Hey girl, hey
Bonjour.
girl. This is what dreams.
I'm sorry. I saw
No,
Hey
that's
Girl.
Hey Now.
I know.
Is that Hillary Duff? God bless. I just saw Jesse McCartney on a television show the other day.
In
This might be
economy.
our most impressive stream of consciousness yet.
It's true. It's true.
We're gonna do listener emails.
and then we'll do something else. Who knows what it'll be?
Yeah. Spin the
also,
wheel.
Thanks to everybody who came in to our live stream.
Yes, thank
And-
you.
Yeah, on Mburb's channel, which is Miranda
That's
Dork.
me.
Miranda Dork.
Miranda Dork.
And it was so much fun. We played PS1 Animorphs game Shattered Reality. We played
beat
it the whole
it.
way through in
We
one
beat it
sitting.
in one
Yeah.
sitting. It only took us, 3 hours? 4
3
hours?
hours.
3 hours.
Three and a
I think
half
it was
hours.
4.
I would say the game itself, there were.
No, you're right. It was 3.
I don't think it's important to the chronology of Animorphs.
No, I think it took place in, I don't know how I would say this, like a reality that was broken off
Yeah, almost like Shattered.
from the
would you say.
main series.
Yeah.
Also,
Fragmented.
I
Yeah.
know we talked over the opening, so I don't remember, but I have no idea what Visser 3 was supposed to be planning to do with that machine that he was just shoving crystals into for some reason.
Crafts. It was crystal crafts.
Yeah, it was crystal crafts. But thank you to everyone who came out. The video of that will be available on our Patreon. I think it might be up. No, by the time this goes out to air, it'll be down off Twitch, probably.
Yes,
And I
So
know-
if you weren't able to join and want to just live in the hilarity of the live stream, please, you
It was a lot of fun.
Support us
Yes.
at the turn on the TV tier.
So the
and you
turn on
get
the
access
TV.
to
Video
that.
games go on the TV, as you know.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
I will
Yeah.
say, just a warning, not a bad warning, perhaps even a good warning. This game got a 3.5, and it shows in places, not everywhere. There's some really good content in there. The idle
yeah.
animations are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Marco, a standout. Not that we're
Marco is
surprised.
standout. The voice work. They're all saying the same lines, but it feels like different people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels good. The section where I had to jump from tree limb to tree limb, and you could only stand on certain parts of the tree limb, and it was not made clear to you which parts those were. Frustrating.
Yes.
But
yeah.
it
Game
will
was a little
change-
broken.
It will change the way that we read any scene taking place in Cassie's woods because now we understand what peril they're in at all times.
I know those strange blue men.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Could come out of anywhere.
also, we know that the way to beat an Antarian bog morph is simply to strike, then retreat briefly, then strike, then retreat, just back and forth, press forward and back, and mash the attack button.
Yes.
And that's the only way to break him out of, because otherwise he's just gonna guard, and he is a perfect guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we're learning about the Antarian bog morph is he is a perfect guard.
So I think we should read this one first. Sarah Q. Tragically, still not CJ. That's the subject
Which are
line.
Sarah's words, not ours. Yes.
Yeah, no,
Right,
we
right, right,
think
right, right.
it's wonderful that everyone is their own person, and we love
Right.
and support you all.
I have started to identify as not CJ also.
Yeah, I feel like I have to let people know because it is such a big disappointment when they
They're
when
like,
they.
did you write that email? Are you the thoughtful one? And it's like, no.
And
not
I love it
me.
because I have actually started identifying as CJ. So
You can see.
That's called identity theft. And that's...
I really identify with your social security number. I don't know what it is.
and all of your articulate thoughts about the Animorphs, which are now also mine. So
All right,
Okay,
I'll
who
start
should
us
start?
off here. Hello, AniCool Kids. CJ managed to say basically everything I wanted to say about Book 16, except probably more articulately. I would just like to reemphasize Cassie's moral dilemma and quickness to act violently and point to it as the beginning of a mini arc that follows her until her next book.
Ooh.
In 17, we can see she's uncomfortable making moral decisions when the group turns to her.
Yeah.
I think that's following up from a previous book. It's an interesting, quiet character trajectory that I really like. I won't say more for now for spoiler purposes. I'd also like Popcorn Miranda.
To propose a solution to Miranda's issue regarding the body count. Oh, I had an issue. Oh, right. We don't know how many people are being killed. This is book 16. Right.
we're
16.
talking book 16. Yeah.
16.
16. Okay.
attack.
Miranda's issue regarding the body count, book 16. All right, I'm realigning my thoughts. Okay. We don't know how many people are being killed. Maybe Joe Bob / Esplin doesn't need to eat a whole yeark to receive sufficient Candrone arrays to survive for the next while. Maybe he's able to ration them and kill only one person a month or something. Okay, I like that idea. The idea that you can preserve the yeark and live off it for a while, and then you're not killing
Yeark
as many
jerky.
people. Yeark jerky.
Yes, yes.
Yearky.
Didn't we make that joke?
I think we did.
make that
Yerky
joke?
boys.
All right. Yerky boys. Oh, someone else made that joke. That's what's happening. All right.
Now, in order to distinguish myself from CJ, I, Popcorn Eddie,
Understand, I will have to lean into a gimmick. I can either be the person who disagrees with all your takes on Marvel movies. I don't think we're all in agreement on Marvel movies.
I know but the disagreeing with all our takes would be impressive
Yes,
because we have
yeah.
varied takes.
Right.
But
Or
if you're talking about my takes, you can disagree on
Those
my
are pretty
takes
easy
pretty
to disagree
easily
with,
because I
yeah.
don't like Marvel movies at all.
Or I can keep leaning into my wildlife training and share more stories and weird tidbits about animals. I'm choosing the latter.
Yeah.
I don't have any bat
That's
training,
very big of you.
unfortunately.
It's very big of you.
So instead, I will talk about red-tailed hawks.
Hell yeah.
Red-tailed hawks are the derpiest motherfuckers, Popcorn Miranda. Popcorn
love
Miranda.
them. Oh, sorry, I didn't. That have ever graced this earth. The books portray them as regal, but I know the truth. I've seen too many young red tails. Their tails don't turn red until they're a year old, so the young adults are easy to spot. Who didn't know how to hunt and tried to slink through the glass. Fuck you. Who didn't know how to hunt and tried to fuck me. Who didn't know how to hunt and tried to slink through the grass like cats instead of, flying and diving. I once saw a young red tail hop after a group of grasshoppers, and I once saw a red tail try to hunt a popcorn Chris.
Can I just say the phrase red-tailed hawk is absolutely
A young red tail hop. Yes,
Yeah,
the red
that
tail.
is so cruel
yes, a red
because
tail hop.
Red-tailed hawk is so much more in my predictive algorithm. Where were you, Miranda?
Try to hunt as. So that's, I once saw a young red tail hop after a group of grasshoppers, and I once saw a red tail try to hunt as popcorn Chris.
A duck!
Yeah.
Already a dubious choice, only to fly away in apparent surprise when the duck quacked at him. They're very silly birds. I'm pretty sure I once saw someone on a falconry forum call them the golden retrievers of the raptor world.
Love them. Love it.
Very brief trigger warning here for talking about the topic of this book. Which book are we on to
16,
here?
so this
Still in
is-
16? Okay, so as always, I love the show, and I'm really glad you were able to appreciate book 17 for all it had to offer. So we're on book 17.
Shit!
That's okay. It's okay. We didn't know that yet. Now we know. People tend to get, understandably, put off by the ableist language and attitudes
right.
of the period and miss all of the really interesting character moments. I'm glad this podcast found space to acknowledge the problematic without letting it bog down the entire book. Popcorn Eddie.
For what it's worth, as someone who's lost friends to suicide and struggled with many, sometimes quite serious mental health issues, I never felt like KA had bad intentions. I think it was incredibly bold to put the subject in a children's book, and even if the execution was sometimes clumsy, you can tell the intent was to be humanizing. Yeah, and I think even that Rachel was like the way that they were trying to do that was to have Rachel
slowly sort
reaching
of
a more-
see his point of view. Yeah, even if she
Morphing,
doesn't.
if you will.
Morphing.
Yeah, character morphing.
They call them character morphs.
I don't love that the end of the book kind of takes the biggest part of the moral decision away from the characters because, materials aside, the biological weapon / dooming people to a life of addiction and partial psychosis is a really fascinating one. Popcorn Miranda.
Don't worry, though. The authors are just easing us into this idea. There will be plenty of devastating choices to come. On a related note, by this point in the series, which character do you think has changed the most in their behavior and or outlook on the world? Sincerely, Sarah Q. P.S. I may also be writing my own set of lyrics for One Day Younger.
I think that means in the Discord we're gonna have 3 sets of lyrics going.
We're gonna have a bunch of it,
my
yeah.
set. And then Mr. Baguette Morph, I
think so, yeah.
And then, so Sarah Q, excited to collab. Get active in the chat.
I really love and I really appreciate you saying you feel like we handled it well because I feel like we wanted to deal with. We also were interested. I can only speak for myself. I also was interested in the book's choice to talk about these topics, and I did have to sort of reach back in my mind and remember the language of the time and remember that books are a product of the context in which they were written, and that how we speak about issues has developed a lot since then. And I also agree that I don't feel like any of it seemed to be coming from any sort of place of judgment or malice or anything like that.
Totally.
Even the sort of what could be seen as sort of a goofy, jokey one-off with the character asking if Rachel is real. It didn't feel like it was done in a mean-spirited way. It was just done in a okay,
Yeah.
And it felt like they were tackling the topic because it was relevant, and it felt like I felt like a lot of books at the time didn't acknowledge that mental health was a relevant concern in a lot of people's lives, even if it wasn't in your own life at that age, in someone's life that, like, in someone that you knew. You know what I mean? And so I apprecited that, and I'm glad that you liked the way I'm glad that the way we handled it made sense and felt good. Like, because we were a little worried about it because some of the language is pretty ableist, and it is, but like we wanted to read the book and face it head on. Applied directly to the forehead, even reading through osmosis, you know.
Exactly. No, I think always appreciate input and feedback. We try and do our best, so thank you for letting us know. And what do you guys think of this question?
So yes,
which character has changed the most? Yeah,
it's obviously Tobias. Obviously.
No, in their outlook or behavior, not in their physical body.
And you know what? Now that I have a hill to die on, Tobias.
He has changed. You're not wrong.
I'm just kidding.
He's been, I think, changed in a really big way by his experience living as a hawk. And I think it shows in the way he talks. He doesn't talk. I mean, I feel like we knew him for so little time that it's hard to compare, but like, because we just don't have much of a corpus of literature to draw on of Tobias pre-Hawk, but like...
Yeah. I think it's hard to not say Marco at this point just because...
I agree.
Marco has the most clear signposts in terms of he thought that his mom was dead. He found out that she's a controller. He kept that a secret from everyone and then finally shared that with the group.
Yeah.
There's just so many clear signposts of, and I think his feelings have changed along the way. I think we've seen development with like his outlook on the world. That just to me seems like the low hanging fruit for what to pick for this.
That's funny. I would really consider Cassie as a more obvious pick. Like
really,
yeah.
Well,
I think,
especially recently.
Yeah, like I think she has actually come closest to ridiculous like instances of like not contradicting herself, but just like the emotional taking over what her purported values were.
Yeah, and we're seeing the change happening right now, so it feels particularly relevant. And I think a big change happened with Marco in book 5, but I think the biggest change for Marco in terms of his outlook, I think actually happened. I said book 5, I meant book 15. I think the biggest change for Marco's outlook actually happened in book 5 when he, has the realization that she's Visser 1 and decides to go through with it anyway. But actually, even as I'm saying that, the biggest change in Marco, I think, happens a little behind the scenes, where Marco becomes committed to the movement before we even get to Marco's first book. You know what I mean? Like, Marco starts as very hesitant to be involved in all of this. And we get his, we were calling them the why I fight moments in book 5 as his mom. But he had actually already decided to fight before he knew that his mom was a part of this. So I think it's interesting with Marco because I do think he had a big change there. But I'm not sure there's been a huge change of him since then, really. It's just been more shoring up of his position that he believes in this.
Since book 15, you mean?
Yeah.
Book 15, I think, was a change, but it's the text of the question that I'm thinking of, which I can't see anymore, but it was...
Man, I'm sorry.
Their outlook or worldview. And I guess you could say that choosing to keep it to himself was part of behavior or outlook on the world. His behavior hasn't changed very much. In terms of his outlook on the world, I guess you could say choosing to share it reflects a change in his outlook on the world. I do agree with that. But I think he was just... I don't know how to word this exactly. I don't think that he thought it was right to not share it with them. I just think that he couldn't do it. I don't know that it reflects his outlook changing as much as it reflects like an internal growth to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why I think Cassie, or like someone like Cassie, or maybe even a Rachel who's like now a violent warrior,
is having to confront real changes in herself. Yeah. But Cassie is having to, I agree with you, Chris, that Cassie is having to confront these real moral challenges. And then obviously with behavior, the easy answer is Tobias. But I also think there actually has been a lot of change probably in his outlook on the world that unfortunately we just don't get to see a lot of because he's relegated to one book every 12 instead of one book every 6.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of changes. We have to infer a lot of internal changes by how he reacts to circumstances.
This is Axe or Tobias?
Tobias.
Okay.
And I haven't even started thinking about it.
The reason I was thinking
Axe is another
might be-
thing to make a
he
real
might be
case
the real
for.
answer.
You could
Yeah.
make a case for almost all of them. I was going to say except Jake, and then I think about how Jake
Jake has changed a lot.
had to
also.
struggle with accepting his role as a leader in book 11, and I'm like, Jake has been through a massive journey. They really have all changed quite a bit, and it's actually really impressive to think about in just 18 books to show this much growth.
Which is why I locked in on the outlook of the world part, because that's where like it's like the most quantifiable. Whereas like with Cassie, it's like her change is the most stark, I think, in certain ways.
I do think Axe just had a big one with declaring his found family, and his people.
Yes.
Like, I do think that's a big change for Axe that we just had in book 18.
I actually think I might change my answer to Axe because I think that's kind of a catastrophic change that Axe is going through. And I think he's also getting deprogrammed from his people, though we're kind of in the midst of that still. My only thing with Cassie is that, one, I feel like Cassie is changing. I feel like she's in the midst of change recently. I also feel like she had maybe some of the least development for like the first 10 to 15 books. So I think it just
seemed
feels
with it. Yeah, we talked about that she seemed to be the most emotionally intelligent character. She was carrying them for like 8 to 12 books, and then she finally got to start having her own moral dilemmas.
So maybe there's a bit of like a elasticity to it. Like it feels like it's been
I think if you're talking
back for a while.
Amount turned though, like hers is the most shocking to me, where she's like, we should be killing this guy right now.
Yeah.
Like that is the most shocking, and nothing
that was
Axe has
very
done
shocking.
has actually been surprising to me. Like he actually sided with the Andalites for most of the book, and then he makes a decision. He sort of actually gets plucked back into his world without his consent or control anyway. So it's like, he's doing the best he can, and it's a big cataclysmic shift.
Yeah.
But Cassie's the one who is like, I'm going to drive this fucking thing off a cliff, and we never thought she had it in her.
No, we never
So,
would have.
like,
we never thought Cassie was going to try to kill someone.
So I think, like, maybe in terms of evenness and pacing, I can see what you're saying, but I do think hers is the most shocking.
I think it's the most shocking
for her too, right? Like it was
It's not, but
it
it's
was
not
only a small moment because it wasn't in her book.
Yeah, it was a big moment.
If it had happened in Cassie's book, I think we would have heard a lot more about it.
Group. Yeah.
But see, maybe I think maybe I'm waiting to see it from her book. I think I'm just,
and I would love to. Yeah, I think I was going to say the same thing. Where I was going to say I feel like it's hard to determine how big a shift Cassie is on when we don't know where she's going to end up yet. Like we're in the middle of her shift.
Yeah, so I think
whereas it feels like Axe just finished one up.
Yes.
But
the question was by this point in the series, so I still stand by Cassie.
That's
Even
fair.
though we didn't get to hear it from her. Like,
That's
the question
fair.
was not who has the biggest arc over the entire thing. I think Cassie has had some of the most shocking moments.
I think it's just that I didn't feel like I wanted to answer Cassie until I felt like I knew where she was going. But I think you're right. Seeing that from her is the biggest change from book one character introduction. Like, I would not have thought to see that from her ever. Although, well, no. See, the problem with Axe, unfortunately, is that he's in a predictable arc to a certain extent, where we knew that he was going to come from Andalites above all to becoming part of the group. So while this is a big change from his introduction in book 4, it's not an unexpected one like Cassie's was. Like, it's not shocking. And Marco too, I think that's also part of it, where like Marco's behavior,
he's on a journey, but it's not about development.
I think I know what's happening
development is
here. I think you two
I can see what's happening. What?
I think it's because we have not agreed on when the Anidorks musical takes place in the timeline yet. But I think if you consider that what if Marco's already made peace with not getting the starring role in Visser 3's play?
So you're bringing in Apocrypha.
Yeah, you're bringing in apocryphal lore here.
To make the conversation simpler. You're like, if
Can
you
we
would just
write
accept,
Animorphs Apocrypha? Is that just what fanfiction is? I
the
guess it's just
gospel
what
according to Cassie, then we could do this.
My vote is actually I'm going with
Jake
Axe.
and Axe keep editing the books. They keep taking books out. They keep rearranging them. What is the deal with transubstantiation?
Yes.
Do we
when
know?
you read Andalite Chronicles, lots of opinions about that.
I'm just saying, it doesn't seem to me to be a shock. You know, it makes sense. We're reading this contentious point of this contentious point of Animorphs when we are also in a year when Orthodox and Catholic or Reform Easter fall on the
lines
same.
up.
It lines up. We are all one.
Exactly.
Does that
Every
answer
so
your
many
question,
years.
Sarah?
I do have a question, which is it Elfangor's flesh that I'm eating? Is it flesh in my mouth or when it gets to my stomach?
Wait. We've missed a really big point. By this point in the series, character that's changed the most is Elfangor. He's dead.
It's big. But it's predictable. It's classic Elfangor. He's been dead all series.
Isn't Eileen? She was the star of book 4. Where is she?
Charisse? She's letting Marco grow his hair out again. What happened?
Yes,
What's going on?
You know what? It's Visser 3.
Oh, he's had
Visser
a real
3.
evolution as a performer.
It's true. It's Chapman.
It's Chapman.
It actually
He's
is Chapman.
teaching Melissa to drive.
Actually, it is
runs.
Chapman. It is Chapman because we saw Chapman as like a well-meaning but doomed parent. We saw Chapman
as a child.
as a psychotic. A psychotic teenager.
And
then we saw Chapman as a freaking assassin in the last
with
book.
his minivan.
Unfortunately, his development is up to this point not on screen. It's in books that we have not read yet. Where are the Chapman Chronicles? We know
Jeremy
it's a
Jason McCall also went through quite a change.
Yeah, it's true.
He's a monk now or something?
Yes. Okay.
All right, let's do the next email.
Should we lock in answers to the question? I'm saying
No.
Axe,
We answered it.
You both are
You're saying Axe? I would lean Cassie or Tobias. I think Tobias is a good answer to the question as well.
I think Cassie's great if you trust women.
It's April, okay? It's not Women's Month anymore. I don't have to anything women.
Cool, dude.
Did I ever tell you about this? Is a total aside, but the two streamers I was watching, it was Chibi and Ray, and Chibi was like, "Oh, you like women? Name every woman." And Ray went, "Easy, Whitney Houston," and because she is the "I'm Every Woman" song.
Nice, very good. That's incredible. All right, I'll start us off here. We have another one from Dragon Trainer. Thank you for sending in an email. The subject is simply Anidorks. Hey. Back again with another headcanon theory.
Ooh,
I love those.
Love it.
That's the
My
entire series for me.
Yeah.
So I understand that Occam's razor suggests that Alaram most likely already had a Kafit bird morph before Visser 3 infested him. When I first read Book 18, I came to the same conclusion you did, and have always wondered why Axe never came to the same conclusion. I think I might have an idea as to why. Back in the Andalite Chronicles, Elfangor explained that the
Jabala?
Popcorn Miranda.
Jabala was the first creature in Andalite Eris morphs into, and that morphing into one was mandatory to pass the morphing proficiency test. Oh yeah, I think I compared it to when you have to transform in the Genin class in Naruto. Yeah, when you have to perform Henshin no Jutsu.
When you have to transform the car into the
I think the test is just spelling. Jabala.
Jabala. The Kafit bird, on the other hand, was actually not a mandatory morph, just that a lot of Andalites morphed it too. In fact, it's mentioned that it's generally frowned upon to morph for pleasure. Jake agrees. Based on Axe's reaction to flying for the first time back in Book 5, I think it's safe to say that Axe doesn't have a Kafit bird morph, and even Elfangor mentioned he only did it once before. Popcorn Eddie.
The way I pictured it, the Kafit bird is like riding a skateboard or playing guitar, whereas the Jabala is like playing the recorder.
Okay.
Most Andalites don't do it because it's frowned upon, but enough do it that it became a common sight. Elfangor is much older than Axe, and Alarin is older than Elfangor. Maybe Axe just simply can't fathom someone of Alarin's generation partaking in Kafit bird morphing.
Kafit boarding.
Yeah. Those dang
yeah.
kids and their Kafit bird morphs. It'd be like finding out your school principal was in a rock band or got high. The way Elfangor mentioned that he only did it once before sounds familiar, doesn't it?
I tried it once in college.
I tried it once and I didn't inhale.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Wasn't for me.
What other activities do you think Andalites also do that is generally frowned upon, but a lot of them do it anyway? Anyway, keep up the good work, Dragon Trainer.
Thank you for your email, Dragon Trainer.
Yes, thank you. So what you're saying is Elfangor is playing Hot Cross Buns while Axe was forced to play Wonderwall.
I was going to go with Through the Fire and the Flames, but, you know...
I had Wonderwall queued up and managed to distract myself long enough to forget Wonderwall.
So the Kafit bird is like a song that you would do for fun. It's an instrument you would take up for fun, not something that your parents would be like, this is going to get you into a good college.
Very hot cross buns.
Yeah.
We're going to get a freaking copyright strike.
Mom calls
Stop
them
it.
bag songs.
Well, that's what they call them in
BAG,
music
yeah.
class.
It's
That's
only-
what they
it's
call
only
them in
3.
music class, yeah.
But what do they do? I think probably engage with some sort of non-Andalite media, right? They probably, like, if they're traveling, they're probably really interested in media from
They're watching like Skridna cable.
yeah, something like that, like content from other countries, because I figure it's probably hard to get, like the way the Andalite culture seems, it seems like kind of like they would be like, you wouldn't want to watch this like lesser people's stuff, right? So I feel like they probably all read like magazines. Well, they don't have magazines, but they all get like, they're all subscribed online to the article about like hottest Skritna music or something.
Or maybe dipping your hoof mouth into illicit substances or just places where it's not supposed to be.
We don't know anything about illicit substances in the Andalite world, but
can
I'm not
imagine some.
disagreeing with you. I'm just curious what they would be. I mean, I'm just curious about them.
Yeah, I imagine, well, grass is an obvious choice because it has the dual meaning.
But also it's not inhaling. Do you think they can smoke through their like nose slits?
Yes, I think you put the doobie in one nose slit and then you plug the other and inhale.
Okay.
And then unplug it to exhale.
So there's that, and then I think that also, like, obviously, some sort of hallucinogenic grass or something that you crush up with your hooves.
I think
like puddles with gasoline in a parking lot.
They're very
like
pretty.
If they step in that, I bet you they trip
I would
the
try
fuck
it.
out.
What about all of the strange plants that we saw in Andalite Chronicles when we saw that planet split in 3? We saw some kooky plants there that were from
Yeah,
Andalite.
I think a lot of those were from the like sort of deserted,
right.
like the Badlands.
Sleeping in someone else's scoop.
What would that do?
I don't know.
How would that be psychedelic?
You're just supposed to sleep in your family scoop. Yeah, like you don't until you're ready to make a family scoop. You don't go to someone else's scoop. You go home every night.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sleepovers, that's what they say, but sleepovers are becoming more and more common, especially now that they're pushing for more Andalites to be born.
Yeah. What about, okay. I know that there's a lot of, it seems like Andalites don't morph very often, but they could
It does seem that way.
absorb each other, right? And you could morph into one of your friends.
Yeah.
Cause some
Oh,
trouble.
I bet you they do that for pranks when they're young, impressionable teenagers all the time.
You're not going to convince me that Axe doesn't have the Andalite morph of one of his friends.
And like, I don't want to be a creep, but I am going to go here. Do you they gotta morph their crush, right? If your crush holds your hand. But then again, do you think they can tell they're being acquired? Like, is it like you have to try to hide? Like, how do you hide it? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say something wild, but maybe if you
hold on.
If you do it while you're sleepy, you're like, then you're not gonna.
No.
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 Only with consent.
No.
Yes, that's what I mean.
No.
Oh.
No, I mean that you wouldn't be able. You would absorb it, and then if you're both sleepy, you're not.
No, this is no.
I don't know where it's going.
No.
But I'm just thinking of if you remember.
I'm trying to think of when you wouldn't be able to tell. So
yes, and it's problematic.
No, and I'm like holding hands, and like that would still be like trying to surreptitiously obtain it, but like I still think like they consented to the touch,
right?
I think they would know, and I think they would be mad.
Yeah, it would probably. It's probably
There's a
frowned
reason
upon.
this rule's in the books. So.
But I'm
Yes,
thinking of the famous, highly critically acclaimed film live action Scooby-Doo. Fred gets put into Daphne's body and is like, I could look at myself.
I know. I always think of that too. Yeah. You know in the open world Andalite game, though, if you when you can like sneak into someone's house while they're sleeping and pickpocket them or something or stab them.
Oh yeah.
Like in Elder Scrolls, I feel like you would also have absorb morph so you could break into the
For sure.
the prison as a Chris. Why are you making that face? You're a rogue.
We need
You're
an
the Andalite
Animorphs
rogue.
mod. We need an Animorphs mod for The Sims so bad.
Chris is like,
Do we?
why
we?
are you stuck on absorbing morphs while people are sleeping?
Non-consensual.
But I do think
Pickpocketing.
I think probably
That's a fair point.
the primary use is like either silly pranks or trying to cover for your friend who's out from school. Like you and your friends all have each other's morphs to try to like get you not marked absent from class.
I also think,
Totally.
and I know this is not, but in the first Magician's book, Quentin and Alice hook up for the first time while they're in like snow
As foxes.
Arctic
Yeah,
fox.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Snow foxes. Or
I
whatever,
feel like that's happening all the time with Kafit birds in on the Andalite planet or the Jabala. I don't know exactly what the Jabala is like.
We don't know anything about Andalite sex, and I mean that not to say I want to know. I'm just saying, like, we have no idea if they have any sort of purity culture. We don't know if they have any sort of it may not be it may not be what we're thinking it is. It could be a psychic bond. It could be like a sorry. You know what I mean? Where the physical part is actually totally secondary, and it's like the psychic bond that makes the child.
Yeah.
All right. So, I was queuing up our next thing. We have 2 Book 18 comments on Spotify we can go over. I responded to them, but Cosmotron, also known as CJ, gave us the message back when we released an episode called Taxon in a Pringles Can, which I don't know who thought of that one.
I know I shouldn't laugh at our own episode titles, but I forget about them.
Cosmotron said, I actually think it. So this was. Yeah.
So
this was about a theory about
is the captain
betrayer.
who's a traitor.
The evil guy in Book 18, yes.
Yeah.
I actually think it's likely Samelin was lying about being friends with Elfangor. He probably did know and serve under him, but Elfangor has a big reputation for being a beloved hero. I don't think it would have been difficult for Samelin to lie about being closer to Elfangor in order to make Axe trust him. That's how I read it anyway.
That makes a lot of sense.
A really good point.
I still like my bit about the one who liked him and was like, sometimes breaking the rules is what you have to do. Is like,
Yeah.
But like, I do think that makes sense that he was lying to get Axe to trust him.
Well, but the thing
then
is, Andalites promised not to lie, and then he would be
They
breaking his
promise.
promise.
I do promise not to lie, it's true.
Just like
And then we
Chris.
have one from Ronan on the same episode. For Samelin's defense, who hasn't seen some famous artist from afar at a party or festival and then made up an elaborate story about how they talked together for hours, etc.?
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be really...
I haven't done that, but I've like talked about having worked with people who became somewhat famous, and like I've exaggerated a little bit how well I knew them, or how well they knew me, because that's usually the thing. It's like I knew who they were and was paying attention
This is
to
why...
them, but
see, I have a simple fix for this, and it's just have your diary on you and hand it to any famous person you see.
Can we have a quick Anidorks huddle to talk about these comments? So I feel like between the three of us, one of us should have pitched that maybe Samelin was lying about his relationship with Elfangor, but I don't think any of us.
no, we didn't. Eddie, listen, I never want us to feel bad about trusting people. Okay,
No.
I want
You hear
this
that,
to be a
Chris?
space where we feel like we can trust people, even if we're wrong.
Well, I think we also have another option, which is we could re-record that entire episode.
We could
delete
change
these
the
comments.
podcast just like KA is changing the books.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. So I think we could learn from our mistake and lie that we actually did have the idea.
Okay, so our listeners
wait a
don't want
minute.
us to trust strangers so much.
Wait, okay. So
yes,
Ronan here says for
Eddie, you
Samuelin's
should throw... Yeah,
for Samuelin's defense, who hasn't seen some famous artist from afar at a party or festival, and the men made up an elaborate story about how they talked together for hours. And Cosmotron said a similar thing about that they thought Samuelin was lying. I don't know how you think you're saying something new when we brought. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Eddie doxed us during that conversation, so I had to cut it from the episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
That's what happened.
Bad Eddie.
And now because of how I am at a point right now because of how bad the world is and how bad people lying are right now, even though we did a whole bit explaining this, I'm going to repeat. We did not think of this.
No.
We did not think of this angle at all. We missed it
We did not
entirely.
consider that he might have just been lying.
And we read the book
Well, he
3
was so
times.
impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
even after he crashed the ship, he did it so. It was just so impressive. I
I bought it. He had an air about him. It seemed trustworthy.
Well, he's an Andalite,
Thank
and
you.
if there's one thing these books have taught us, it's to trust Andalites. So
That's right. They're on their way.
Yeah.
they're like Eagle Scouts, all of them. So
Yeah.
Do we have any more?
Eddie, are you an Eagle Scout?
let's not bring that up on the podcast. Yeah,
It's
they're like
first-
Eagle Scouts.
I want to see if we have any more reviews. Oh, nice. Okay, I think we do have a new one.
Check
I
the
don't
date.
think we've
Those
done
are both
this
from
one.
August.
We did.
Oh
that
no! Wait,
one.
is this the fake one you did, Eddie?
No, that's not me. But I'm pretty sure we did this one.
Cringe.
Can we do it
Fringe is a
again?
good name.
Can we do it again?
Just as a way of reminding our
Just
listeners.
a way of reminding. Yeah. Okay. Because it's been a long time since we've gotten a comment on
Since we've gotten a new
a 5-star
yeah.
review on Apple Podcasts. But thank you for everyone who's given them. We're up to 27, and the last one was from Cringe Fringe.
Good
And-
name.
Yeah, great name, and the title is just cool. The text, very cool.
Love
Pretty
it.
cool.
It's pretty
Love
cool.
that.
How many stars is it?
Remember, it is 5.
Let's count.
It's
Should we
5.
count to make sure?
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 4.
Plus 5? No, damn it. I was doing a Kendrick Lamar joke.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5 plus 5.
Yeah. It's like he has 10 ready to go. But anyway,
And so long as we receive a review before August
will not-
23rd,
Harvest your organs. No.
and as a bonus, I'll just throw this one in. We will not trust a single stranger for an entire year.
yeah, we will enforce stranger danger in the books from now on.
Yes, we will be so suspicious.
We have learned our lesson. So yeah, just a reminder, if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it aloud on the air. Please feel free to send us emails. We love that. We also are reading our Spotify discourse because there's not that much of it. If you comment on Spotify, I'll comment back.
Yeah.
I've been checking.
A lot of people didn't know it was a thing, me included. I did not know you could leave Spotify comments. So if that's a thing you're interested
I believe
in,
I learned about it on air.
Yeah.
And then now at the $3 level, if you donate to our Patreon at the $3 level, the voluntary controller level, you can join our Discord.
That's
and
right.
You can be palling around and sharing photos of your dog.
yeah, it's sometimes I'll just share Le Poisson Steve. That's something
yes,
that I
was
think
amazing. That was like
I don't know if anybody else has been deep in Le Poisson Steve on their For You page, but that's most of my For You page is Le
it's
Poisson
pretty
Steve.
beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a minute.
And luckily, we have a native French speaker on the Discord who provided a wonderful translation that I certainly can't speak against. I don't have enough knowledge.
It's right. In fact, it's right. It's right.
It has to be right.
Yeah.
It
Just
must
like-
be. I mean,
just like we were right.
It doesn't
about-
seem like those are the words being said, but I assume that those are contextually, culturally, that's what's being conveyed.
Yes.
Which is why it was a part of the Olympics opening ceremony.
That's right.
Yeah.
In that tableau, Oh my God. Can you
Right
imagine
after-
if they'd waited to do the Paris Olympics until Le Poisson Steve happened?
Right.
I hope he'd have been everywhere.
I know. It was
love
in
him
between
so much.
the Heads Will Roll and the Gojira song.
And just because I know everyone's wondering, you said you were going to do another Survivor season, and we have clearly not done that tonight.
That's true. I even
We're gonna
mentioned
wait.
it in my stream. I was like, we might be doing a Survivor. I'm not sure.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait because it turns out I think we are going through the books faster because it was only November that we did the last one. So,
Okay, we should, that's
Yeah.
only been 6 months.
Yeah.
That's been 6 months, though.
So-
Not quite.
But
Wait,
the
has
cast
it?
that
I-
we're building, we're doing it.
Famously, I cannot count. I want that to be clear.
We should do, you know what we should do? I'll pitch this on the air. I'll commit our asses to this. We could do smaller more often. We could do like a live stream one that's like, or something like that. I don't know. Or like do one on the Discord.
Oh, do like a live, live
you know what?
Survivor, a live Viver, if you will.
What if we...
a
what if we did-
Survivor, if you will.
Survivor.
There we go.
I'm
Sorry,
gonna
I
pitch
had
this
to-
idea, and we're gonna take this offline and think about it. But if you're interested in this, get active in the Discord. We could do one where we pick people. We could do an alternate timeline thing where people in our Discord get to draft players.
Ooh,
and then
yeah.
and
That'd
then we
be really
like run it,
cool.
and then we run it like for a period.
That'll
of time
be
or
our
something.
All-Star
That could be fun.
season.
We gotta-
Fans versus
are we
that'll be
doing an
our-
ARG, an Animorphs reality game?
Oh my God, fans versus favorites. People in the Discord could compete directly.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. With Parvati and
Oh, Parvati Shallow, my love.
What else is she doing?
She just finished Deal or No Deal. That's not true. It finished months ago, but this is the show.
And an
just finished.
Australian Survivor.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.